Ever scroll through those travel blogs? You know, the ones with people taking selfies in the most extreme places. Makes you wonder, could I?
Hmm.
Well, today's deep dive, we're tackling a place that's usually off limits, Antarctica.
It's funny, isn't it? Most people, they picture Antarctica and they see this big open wilderness like free for the taking.
Right, like finders keepers, but like on a global scale.
Yeah.
But you shared this document with me, Los Misterios detrás de la prohibición de visitar la Antártida, and let me tell you, it uncovers the truth. Getting to Antarctica.
Yeah.
Way more complicated than just like hopping on a plane. It's practically forbidden.
Yeah. Practically forbidden. And the document really digs into why that is. Turns out, Antarctica, it's not owned by any one country.
Really?
It operates under this thing called the Antarctic Treaty, signed back in 1959.
Okay, the Antarctic Treaty. Sounds like we're going back to history class. So what's the deal with this treaty? Was it just a bunch of countries trying to, like, plant their flags at the South Pole?
You're actually spot on. That tension, it's the heart of the Antarctic Treaty. 12 countries, imagine those meetings,
Yeah.
came together to say, nope, Antarctica, not up for grabs.
12 countries all agreeing. That's impressive in itself. But hold on. If nobody owns it, who's in charge down there? Is it just scientists running around doing their experiments, maybe playing with penguins?
Well, the treaty's clear. Antarctica, it's for peaceful scientific stuff, no fighting.
Makes sense?
But, and here's the catch, no military action, true, but that doesn't mean there are no military folks around.
Wait, really? Soldiers hanging out with the penguins? I thought it was all, like, test tubes and glaciers.
This is where it gets really interesting. The document, it actually gives some examples. Think of it this way. The U.S. Air Force, they're like the transport guys, moving people and supplies between, say, New Zealand and McMurdo Station.
That's a major research hub, right?
Exactly. And the U.S. Navy.
Yeah.
They're handling the weather forecasts, even things like air traffic control. It's really quite something, logistically speaking.
Yeah, you've got a point. We're talking about a whole continent covered in ice. It takes some serious planning, serious support just to keep things running. But this brings up the big question. If it's not about claiming land, why go through all this trouble? Why is Antarctica so, well, guarded?
That takes us to the core of it, the environment. This document, it really emphasizes that Antarctica is not just some empty frozen wasteland.
It's pristine.
It's exactly a pristine, interconnected ecosystem. And any little disturbance can really mess things up.
Right, the document talks about this whole web of life, from like tiny little microorganisms in the ice all the way up to whales swimming in the ocean. It's incredible.
It's mind-blowing how interconnected it all is. For instance, you've got krill, these tiny little crustaceans, right? Might not seem like much, but they're the foundation of the entire food chain.
Wow, so messing with the krill messes with everything else.
Exactly. They feed the fish, which feed the seals, the penguins, even those majestic whales we talked about. Disrupt one part, and whoosh, the whole system feels it.
It's like a giant domino effect. So even something small, like us walking around, could have huge consequences.
You're getting it. The document actually mentions that just walking around can be harmful.
Wait, really? Just walking?
Yeah, even our footprints. They can damage those slow-growing mosses, and those can take years, decades even, to recover.
Wow. Just imagine a footprint lasting for years. That's kind of sobering.
It is, and that's why they call Antarctica this pristine lab. It gives scientists this unique opportunity. They can study everything, climate change, unique life forms, all with minimal human interference. And the discoveries they make there, they matter for the whole planet.
Okay, so protecting Antarctica, it's way bigger than just saying no tourists allowed. It's about preserving something vital for everyone. It's almost like a global responsibility, wouldn't you say?
You hit the nail on the head. What happens in Antarctica? It doesn't stay in Antarctica. The stability of its ice sheets, the health of its wildlife, it all has a direct impact on all of us. And nowhere is that connection clearer than with climate change. Antarctica, with that massive ice sheet, it's like a giant thermostat for the planet.
Right, it controls the sea levels, right.
Exactly. And not just that, weather patterns too, for the whole world. But, you know, this document, it doesn't just focus on those big picture things.
Oh, it gets into the nitty-gritty.
It dives into the real dangers of Antarctica, like for anyone who actually goes there.
Okay, now we're talking. This is the part where I'm glad I'm sitting here in my comfy chair. It's cold down there, right? Like really cold.
You could say that again? We're talking sub-zero, like really sub-zero.
Mm-hmm.
And the wind, forget about it. It can knock you off your feet.
It sounds intense.
It is. And the landscape. One wrong step
Yikes.
could be your last.
Speaking of those dangers, that's where that explorer's diary comes in, right? the one you mentioned.
Robert Falcon Scott.
Yes. From like 1912, right?
1912. His words were chillin'.
The document quotes him, right?
Huh.
Saying, God, this place is terrifying. And that was over 100 years ago. Imagine facing Antarctica with like a fraction of the gear we have today.
Makes you think, technology's come a long way, sure. But the core challenges of surviving there.
They haven't changed much, have they?
Not really.
You still need shelter, you need warmth, you need food.
Basics.
The basics, or you're in trouble. I remember reading in the document one research station, just to survive the winter, they have to store, what was it?
1.4 million liters of water.
1.4 million liters of water just to get through the winter. Can you imagine? Having to plan for every single thing?
Every little detail matters. Forget a can opener.
Oh no, seriously.
Could be a real problem.
It's a whole other level of don't forget to pack your toothbrush. But it's not just the planning, right? Just being in that environment, it takes a physical toll.
Absolutely. This document, it really gets into the human body in Antarctica. Like, just to stay hydrated, you need to drink 6 to 8 liters of water a day.
6 to 8 liters. Seriously, I can barely get through my water bottle here.
It's the air. It's so dry. You lose so much moisture just breathing.
Wow.
And then there's the food.
Oh yeah, you got to fuel up.
You got to keep that internal engine running. We're talking 5,000–6,000 calories a day. Easy.
5,000 to 6,000 calories. Wow, I'd be like eating constantly. What do they even eat down there?
Lots of calorie-dense stuff. The document even mentions some people swear by chocolate.
Really? Chocolate?
Quick energy boost.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've got the cold, we've got the wind, we've got to eat like crazy just to function. It's a lot.
It is. And that's not even the half of it. This document, it describes these hidden dangers.
What do you mean hidden?
Like literally under the surface.
What do you mean?
Thin ice.
Thin ice, yeah, that's scary stuff. You're just walking along and then...
Gone. The document describes it like the ground disappears beneath you.
And then you're in the water. That water is cold.
They're freezing.
Didn't the document also mention something about blizzards?
Oh, yeah. Whiteouts.
Whiteouts, that's right.
These sudden blizzards, they come out of nowhere. And the wind, we're talking over 160 kilometers an hour.
And you can't see a thing, right?
Nope. Everything's white.
So you're freezing, you might fall through the ice, and then the wind tries to blow you away. Antarctica does not mess around.
It really puts things in perspective, you know?
Yeah.
Like we've got all this technology,
Yeah.
but out there.
Nature's in charge.
Exactly.
And if something goes wrong, well, it's not like you can just call 911.
That's another thing. This document, it talks about the medical facilities. They're limited, to say the least.
Right, because it's so remote.
Exactly. Imagine you're responsible for, say, 150 people and you're the only doctor.
Oh, man, that's a lot of pressure. It's like being a doctor on a space station.
Except colder.
And probably with worse food, even with all that chocolate.
And good luck getting a rescue team out there. If you need to evacuate someone.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Not impossible, but the document, it mentions costs upwards of $50,000.
$50,000 just to get you out of there. Suddenly, that trip to Hawaii is looking pretty good. But seriously, it makes you think twice about going to Antarctica.
It does. It's not something to be taken lightly. It takes planning, resources, and a healthy respect for the risks.
Yeah, respect for nature. It's humbling, in a way.
It is. And for most of us, it's probably best to admire Antarctica from afar.
I think you might be right. But even from here, it's captivating, isn't it? This whole continent of ice and snow, it's like another world.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's also a reminder.
It's almost like it's meant to be admired from afar, right?
It is. And that, I think, is part of what the document's getting at. It's not just about logistics, not just about safety. It's almost like some places.
Yeah.
They're best preserved by us appreciating them, but from a distance.
It's humbling, isn't it, to think even in a place as vast as Antarctica, our being there, it matters. Makes you rethink that whole bucket list thing, you know?
Right.
Like maybe some experiences, we experience them best by, I don't know, supporting the research, supporting the conservation, but not actually going there ourselves.
Exactly. And that ties into the final point of the document, I think. It describes Antarctica as this incredible place. Scientifically important, yes, but also a reminder.
A reminder of what?
Of nature, of how powerful it is, how untamed, how perfectly balanced, even though it seems so harsh.
It's like a reality check, in a way. We're not just visiting this planet. We're part of it. All of it. Even Antarctica, even if we never go there.
Exactly. So most of us, we won't ever set foot on Antarctica, those conditions, extreme. But understanding it,
Mhm.
understanding why it matters, how fragile it is, how it connects to everything, that's something we can all take away.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's been amazing, this deep dive into, well, the mysteries of this forbidden continent.
It has.
And to everyone listening, thank you. Thank you for joining us, for being curious with us. It just goes to show you don't need a plane ticket to explore.
That's right. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and remember,
Mm.
sometimes the most incredible journeys, they're the ones that happen right here, in our minds, expanding how we see the world.
Perfectly said.
Yeah.
Until next time.